Hey guys, what it do? It's your boy Supreme Uchiha the God. Now this is gonna be a kind of an insane video, but first leave a like, comment, subscribe, or dislike, whichever you're feeling. But maybe hear me out first before we get into it. But I want to talk about One Piece. I want to talk about One Piece. Man. I want to talk about One Piece. I really enjoy reading One Piece, and one of the major things happened. I got to the time skip, the first time skip, and Zoro came back with an eye missing and shit. So, we moving forward quite rapidly and quite well, but the scenario that led up to that was obviously the prison escape and also Ace's death. And I was thinking about it. I did enjoy reading it. I think reading the war kind of fight against the Navy sometimes felt a little bit disjointed. Like, I don't know, I felt like the paneling sometimes wasn't the best. And I just want to critique the thing. I'm gonna talk about my personal opinions. Like, these are just objectively. I just feel like sometimes some of the paneling was just not super clear. And then also I felt like the pacing sometimes wasn't like on point. But mainly the main thing I want to focus on is Ace himself. I think it was an emotional thing. Like, all of it was very emotional. But I don't think he moved me as much because we spent so little time with Ace. In fact, we spent zero time with Ace, apart from that time he popped up in Alabasta and gave Luffy his VV card. And then was like, or Louvre card, whatever, that card, that, the paper that, like, has your lifeline and shit. He gave him that, and then he was like, oh, please take care of my little brother type shit. And he goes on his way. I don't mind that he kind of popped up out of nowhere after like 200 chapters. I'm okay with that. Because again, the pirates, like, they're not supposed to be super sentimental and shit anyway. You know what I mean? So that's fine. And actually reading the backstory is really, really fantastic. This is after the fact. This is after Ace is already dead. But I feel like we should have got a few more hints, not even hints, a few more panels of the two of them before he's off trying to save him. I know we popped into him a few times when he was looking for Blackbeard and stuff, but it was always like super brief and super short. It wasn't like a lot, you know what I'm saying? I know obviously he was looking for Luffy and shit, but it wasn't like, I don't know, I know he was sprinkled throughout, but I just feel like the connection between him and Luffy wasn't focused on enough, right? Like, okay, and I'll give an example. When Itachi dies, right? Why is that so freaking impactful, right? Because we spend a lot of time with Sasuke, right? And we get the backstory of Itachi before. We don't get the full picture of it, but we get the backstory of Itachi before his inevitable demise. We get a bunch of information about him. We get to see him do a bunch of things. We get to see him in action. We get to see him win. We get to see him, do a bunch of different shit. And I think it creates a way bigger impact when he dies. Now, and I'm using him as an example because him and Sasuke don't meet frequently. They meet like once before they eventually meet again to fight to the death. So they only meet once before they fight to the death. Right, they meet once in part one, and Sasuke gets annihilated, and then they meet again in Shippuden, and that was the fight to the death. You know what I'm saying? So there's a massive gap in between. But we get to see Itachi have interaction with Sasuke, with Naruto. We get to see Itachi have interaction with other Leaf people. We get to see Itachi have interaction with other Akatsuki members. And we get to learn, from backstories, like Orochimaru's backstory / Akatsuki's book, the Akatsuki light novel. We learn a bunch about Itachi and his capabilities and just how cool he was and da 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 da. So then, and we also know from Obito that Obito helps him do a bunch of stuff, but I think he explains that part of it later. But we know quite a lot of information about Itachi without having to meet him a lot. You know what I'm saying? So then by the time he actually hops on screen again and he's fighting Sasuke, and then we learn what we learn after, the impact just even increases further. Like, you know what I'm saying? And even at the end of the fight when he saves him and Sasuke's shot, like, what's going on? Like, why did you keep me alive type shit? You know what I'm saying? And it's so impactful, bro. And I know obviously it's that impactful because Sasuke himself literally killed his brother, or like, basically. But I think it's just the way it's done, man. There was just so much care for it, right? And I feel like Ace kind of lacked that connection with Luffy, right? It was like he was looking for Blackbeard, and then he saw that his brother was about, and so he went and said, "Oh, let me say hi to my brother." And then, here's my Lubric, my card. If you need me, you need to find me. Use that, and then he just dipped, and went on his way. Fought Blackbeard, lost, and Blackbeard kept him alive, and then he sent him off, to get executed so that he can join the warlords of the sea. You know what I'm saying? Since Crocodile got defeated and shit. You know what I mean? So yeah, I felt it was really intriguing. I felt it was really intriguing. That we didn't get that much information from, because after reading his backstory with him and what's the other friend's name, as well, it was like, wow. See, now, for example, if his other friend comes through in the future and pops up, it'll be way more impactful, because like, oh my god, that's the guy from you know his full story, you know so much about him, but you think he's dead. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's impactful because you care about him from that backstory, right? But I feel like with Ace, we don't care about him enough, I think, at that point. And obviously we get to care more about him as Luffy's on his journey trying to save him. But that's more, we care about Luffy, I feel like, than we care about Ace on that point. And Ace is still great. I think he's still really cool. But I'm just nitpicking here. I feel like the execution could have been better. If, for example, like even when we meet Whitebeard, right? We hear legends of Whitebeard and how strong he is. He was the rival of Gold D. Roger. Da 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 da. He has a meeting with Shanks. Da 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 da. All of these things happen, and then when Whitebeard finally gets up, we know that, oh, he's dying. He's actually sick. Da 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 da. And still, he was annihilating the battlefield and da da da. So when he dies, I was actually more impacted by Whitebeard's death than I was by Ace's personally, right? Mainly because, he was kept aloof. He didn't have any connection with nobody, really, minus Ace. And he came through, started a war for his son, Ace. And then his son, Ace, died anyway. You know what I'm saying? And that was sad, bro. You know what I'm saying? That was sad. Like, and obviously, I was sad for Luffy losing his brother. You know what I'm saying? I guess I was kind of sad for Ace when he died. But I personally didn't care as much as I wanted to care about Ace dying. You know what I'm saying? And maybe as well, not having the other Straw Hats there kind of diminished the impact of it emotionally a little bit. But although I think it was the right decision, just because it was a Luffy growth moment, something he needed to experience. He needed to experience loss, just the way he's been experiencing loss for the past few arcs in a row. Because he was getting so much victory that, like, he needed to start taking these L's and feeling helpless and weak and yada yada yada. And it's great as well that him and Zoro come back with these massive scars. Luffy has a massive scar on his chest. I think that's when he got punched by Kaizu, Admiral Kaizu. And then Zoro comes back with one eye missing. You know what I'm saying? I hope there's something behind that eye. I know that Oda said that there isn't, but I hope there is. I hope that if he opens it, like, he can fucking see ahead of the future or some shit. I don't know. He has to have some crazy Zenkai boost in that bitch. That would be lit. And that he just keeps it closed because, he wants to use it on what's his name? On Hawks or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Actually, Hawks was a little disappointing in that war. He did do that slash that, like, ripped through the all of Admiral Kaiji's IG, man, I can never say his freaking name. Sorry for that sound there. Admiral Kaiji, is it Kaiji, bro? Akaiji, Akoji, right? Admiral Akoji, right? Yeah, Admiral Akoji. And he ripped through the ice. That was lit, but he couldn't even touch Luffy, man. You know what I'm saying? He literally couldn't even touch Luffy. Now, obviously, Luffy's a hell of a lot stronger than when he first met the greatest swordsman. But and obviously he was getting assisted to get out of there as well, because whatever, he was gonna get murked otherwise. But Luffy was kind of doing decent. You know what I'm saying? He was kind of doing decent. I felt like Akaji, for example, would have done better than 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 um than than what his name uh than Hawks. I think he would have done better than Hawks in that situation. But Akaji's powers is more like widespread and shit, while it doesn't look like Hawks has any devil fruit. So I don't know why he doesn't get a devil fruit considering how strong he is. That's actually one thing I also don't get, why like these OP ass people that have no devil fruits don't get a devil fruit, because if they're already this OP without the devil fruit, if they get a devil fruit, they'll obviously be even stronger. Like, so why don't they just get a devil fruit? I suppose unless they're looking for a specific devil fruit and they just haven't found it yet. Because again, some of these devil fruits are like insanely rare. Like the dark fruit that Blackbeard has, like, you know what I'm saying? He looked for it for like 20 years or whatever, and then his best friend found it and he had to murk his best friend to take it. So but that's super interesting. Anyway, I'm really excited to see, what happens next. Still, I really still enjoy the arc. Excuse me, I thought it was a fantastic arc. And we got a lot of information. I didn't really love the whole island of women part of it that much. Also the beginning of the prison arc I didn't really love, and some parts of the prison arc, like that. What's that? The lady man that be switching sexes and shit. You know what I mean? I don't know. I didn't enjoy him whenever he's on screen or they are on screen. I didn't enjoy them at all. I felt like they were like, I know Bomba and Clay was really looking forward to them. But I mean, I felt like Bomba and Clay was already that character, and this person was just an exaggerated version of Bomba and Clay, and Bomba and Clay is already freaking super exaggerated. Yeah, I didn't really love that character, but whatever. It's fine to not love every character that you meet. But yeah, overall, I think Ace's retrieval arc. I'll title the video whatever the actual arc is called, but I didn't look before making the video. But Ace's retrieval arc plus the prison arc. I think 7.5 out of 10. I think the ending was really, really strong. Like the death of Ace, I think the way he died was fantastic, because again, you think he'd either get executed or to escape, but then he escapes, doesn't get executed, and then gets murked anyway. I really like that. I like when things aren't so predictable, because at that point you're thinking he's gonna escape, and then he said, obviously we learn later on that he never runs away from a fight or whatever. So yeah, that was, once Whitebeard got disrespected, he just wasn't having it, and he ended up dying in order to protect Luffy, because Luffy was about to die, and he wasn't going to let another one of his brothers die, and that was beautiful. And again, I feel like if we had some of that information beforehand, especially the other brother dying, I think I would have cared a lot more. I still cared. I'm not going to say I didn't care, but like I said, I felt like Whitebeard's death was more impactful for me than Ace's. But also, obviously in the world of One Piece, literally Whitebeard's death was more impactful, because it literally changed the whole landscape. He was ruled over a lot of islands and places, and he did that in order to keep people safe, so that other pirates would be afraid to attack there, because Whitebeard might pull up, and if he pulls up, is dead to all of y'all. So and the vacuum power that causes, and yada yada yada. I thought that was beautiful. That was fantastic. I really like the whole political side of One Piece. I think it's really, really good. It's really, really fantastic. And I really enjoyed, the three of them growing up as kids, and seeing how, one of them was rich, but he hated the life, and he'd rather live poorly and struggle and die than live with his parents and forced to be something that he didn't feel like he was. I really, really thought that was fantastic as well. So, I think if I'm including all three arcs together, so maybe I'll rank all three arcs separately. I think Prison arc is a 6.5 for me. I just thought there was too much weakness. I really loved Bomba and Clay. I think he was the star of the show for me. And I like Bugsy the Clown. I think he's fantastic too. And I like the ending of it. The way Bomba and Clay sacrificed himself and stuff like that. But there was just a lot of stuff in between that was like, you know what I mean? Some of the pacing was like, you know what I'm saying? I skimmed past some chapters because I was like, I don't need to hear what half of these people are saying. Like, they're not saying anything relevant. It's just filler chat. You know what I mean? So prison arc, I don't know, maybe 6.5 is unfair. I'll say 7. Right? I think 7 is fine. I think 7 is fine. I think the ending was like a 9. You know, like the man with the fish man, kung fu, whatever. He's cool as well. You know, yeah, I think 7 for prison arc. Maybe 6.5 to be honest. Actually, maybe 6.5 because I really didn't love a lot of it. I Bonbon Clay though. Whenever Bonbon Clay was on stage, aka Mr. Two, I thought it was sensational. Every bit he was in is a 10 out of 10 for me. Don't care. And him screaming for Luffy to wake up. Maybe I'll give the whole arc a 7 because I think Bonbon Clay carries so heavy in that I'm giving it a 7. I made a solo video about him. That's how much I loved him in that. Bonbon Clay definitely I think he carried it. So 7. The ending as well. Maybe 7.2. I know I don't really like putting point twos, but I think it's more accurate than saying a 7. So 7.2 for that arc. Then Ace's retrieval arc. No, sorry, the Women Island Paradise, whatever. 6, man. I didn't really enjoy it that much at all, and I don't really care for the warlord of the seas and her backstory of slavery and shit that much, only because I feel like she's just murking people in her own place, like willy-nilly, you know what I'm saying, for like dumbass reasons and shit. Like I just felt like, I don't know, she's not a righteous enough person for what she's gone through. And I can kind of understand the spite of it, but then she's kind of mistreating the same people she's supposed to protect or whatever. But so I don't really like her. I know she's in love with Luffy, woo woo woo, but I don't really care for her. I don't really care for anyone on the island. I'm not gonna lie to you. So like, yeah, I think 6 at best, and I'm probably being a bit generous. 6. And then what follows straight after is Ace's retrieval arc, and I think that's an 8. I think some of the fights were sensational. I really like seeing oh my god, Akaji. Man, that name is tough, man. Kuzan, bro. Akaji. I really like seeing Akaji. You know what I'm saying? Do what he did. You know what I'm saying? And I like seeing all 3 of the admirals just sitting there and getting ready to fight. It was good to see Luffy's grandfather fight a little bit. I know he couldn't put himself to actually attack Luffy or to stop him from trying to save Ace. He just couldn't do it. He didn't have the heart for it. Despite his duty and being a hero or whatever from 20 years ago. And he's kind of semi-retired as well on top of it, apparently. So, and it's cool that the Fleet Admiral also retired after this war. That was interesting. So, you know, I think the fights were really good. I actually enjoyed quite a lot of the fights. Luffy's luck, it seems, you know what I'm saying, kind of like, which was showcased early on, that he has plot armor. When lightning struck, when Bugsy was about to execute him, and then lightning struck and destroyed the whole fucking platform. It was like the universe wants this boy to do something, and obviously there's something to do with the D. You know, people with the name D. I know with the D sounds crazy, but people with the name D in them are people that shake up the world. That's why you got like Tick. You know what I'm saying? Blackbeard, Tick, D, whatever the fuck his name is. Apparently he's a fake D. And you got a bunch of different Ds like Ace D. You know what I'm saying, or whatever. Gold D, Roger, etc., etc. So, yeah, and obviously Ace not being Luffy's real brother was a bit of a surprise as well. I was like, oh, what? Those stepbrothers or whatever. I mean, not real brother, but like blood brothers. Yeah, the star of the show in those fights for me, I feel like I wanted to see more of Akaji. I really wanted to see more of him in the fights. But, you know, I feel like because Oda knew, like, I can't just not have him, I can't just, like, have him, you know, be there and not be murking. You know what I'm saying? He didn't want to, like, showcase any weakness from Akaji. And Akaji was ready to finesse Whitebeard by the looks of it. Like, he pulled up to Whitebeard solo, like, ready to do his thing. I thought that the Light Admiral didn't really showcase a lot, considering dude has light speed feats and shit, but he didn't. I thought he wasn't as strong as Kaizu and Akaji. I thought Kaiser Admiral Kaiser was very like way Kaizu. I think was way. Is it Kaizu Kazuka Kizaru? Is it Kizaru? No, Admiral Kizaru is the guy with the light. Um, what was the guy with the magma? What's the guy with the magma's power? Um, Akainu. Is that Akainu? No, Sakazuki. Yeah. So, yeah, Kazuki, right? Sakazuki, or Kaino. I called him the wrong name earlier. My bad. He's the one that killed Ace. Um, but I thought he showing was fantastic. I thought he showing was really really great. Um, and so I really thought him and Akaji did the most. I didn't really feel like you know the the Borsalino fucking Kizaru. I don't feel like he did as much as they did in that war. And I also felt like the fleet admiral didn't do that great in the fight either. I thought Whitebeard was the most impressive, considering he was 72 years old and dying, and he was still the one dominating the battlefield, even after letting his own subordinates stab him. I think he knew. I think he knew he wanted to die there. I think he wanted to give the opportunity for the next generation to do the thing and continue onwards. And he said like I can't remain the strongest in the world forever. But I really like the admiral's stance and how they sat down and shit when like the war was happening and everybody pulled up at the doorstep and they were just chilling. I also really like one of the four emperors, which is Shanks, red hair Shanks, pulling up and basically, making a deal with the Navy. Like, yo, we could fight if you want, but there's no need for more people to die. Like, you guys won your battle. Let's leave it at that. They got to kill Ace like they wanted to, and they got rid of Whitebeard as well. So, that was, and Whitebeard, half his face was missing and shit. And he died standing up. Like, that was great. That was really emblematic of the type of person he was. Upstanding person. My dude literally died standing up and stayed there like that. And then, they were allowed to take the bodies and stuff. I really thought that was great. So, talking about it, despite all the little nitpicks, maybe it was actually like a 9, to be honest, because there's a lot of good things that happened in there. I feel like there was some pacing issues. I also saw that your man unlocked Haki, the young Marine. I can't remember his name. The one that met Luffy like super early, and gave Luffy the boat and shit. He unlocked Haki because of all the trauma he went through there, which is interesting. That was good to see that he unlocked Haki. And I don't know. I did really enjoy it, to be honest. Simultaneously, the fights again. Yeah, I thought the fights were pretty cool. Law pulling up at the end was interesting. He decided to save him. He's like, yeah, we're gonna be enemies one day, but right now I feel like I want to save you for some reason. But yeah. It's been your boy Supreme Uchiha the God. No, wait, I didn't finish. Sorry, I didn't give it a rating, right? I'll give it because I gave the slave arc a 10 out of 10. So I'm gonna say this arc. I don't think it's as good as the slave arc. I think the fights are better, but I think the overall narrative and everything, I think slave arc was a bit more finer. So I'm gonna say 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fantastic. But yeah, that's what I think. I think 9 out of 10 is great. I think if the things I suggested about Ace happened, it'd be a 10 out of 10. But that's fine, nitpicky, whatever. But that's kind of what you gotta be. And then after there's like the backstory of the three of them, I'll give a 9 out of 10 as well. Actually maybe an 8.5 out of 10. It was good. It was really good. It wasn't like, I don't know, the most intriguing thing in the world. And I wish we kind of got it earlier, but it's fine. So I think because of the context of where it's placed and stuff in the story, I think 8.5 out of 10 because it loses some of its impact. Finding out that they lost another brother after the fact versus if we knew that they lost another brother. Even if they just mentioned that, they already, like if Luffy said, I already lost one of my brothers, I'm not about to lose another. And that's what, and then he went off. I think the impact of that story then would have been way higher, you know. But there's no mention of it. Neither Ace nor Luffy ever acknowledged that they had another brother. So, you know, what you want me to do? But yeah, so that is the, you know, all those three acts rated and talked about. I know I didn't really talk about Luffy and Ace growing up and shit. I don't really have much to say about it. I said a bit about it, but I don't have too much to say about it. I thought it was cool that Ace just wanted somebody to want him to be alive because nobody in his life ever wanted him to be alive. And Luffy wanted him to be alive. So, you know, and that's where the connection kind of became strong. Anyway, it's been your boy Supreme Cheer to God. This was probably a long ass video. Make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I'm out.